And welcome into Gator Bytes on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. Today's Gator podcast is brought to you by Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any orthopedic injury or concern. Go to se-ortho.com, and we certainly appreciate the continued support of Southeast Orthopedic Specialist. With Dylan Denmark, the hacker Ryan Green with you. Florida loses to Georgia last week. They head to Lexington now tomorrow night for a battle of 3 and 5 teams on the SEC network, and the Florida Gator basketball team back on the floor, losing to Arizona and beating the UNF Ospreys one night ago. So Denmark, we got quite a bit to cover, but first and foremost, tough loss last week, and you and I have talked all week on Hacker After Dark, man. I just wonder at some point if the wheels will come off or if the bottom will fall out of this football team, and I wonder if that potentially could happen tomorrow night in Lexington.
If Florida was playing Ole Miss tomorrow, I would agree with you more, but Kentucky's pretty bad. They don't really have an offense. They haven't had an offense all year, and I know it's a 3.5-point spread. I feel like it's gonna be a low-scoring game. I mean, we're gonna talk about this injury report, how crazy it is with the lack of receivers that Florida's probably gonna have tomorrow. Now, I mean, they got some good news yesterday. A couple of the guys that were questionable on the injury report on Wednesday. They're going to play Mizell and VB3, but Dallas Wilson's gone for the year. No Trey Wilson, who had a phenomenal game last Saturday, and Florida played well for the most part last week. I thought Florida, there wasn't a point where Georgia was outplaying them up until those final 6 minutes of the game, and I was at the game. So, yeah, it definitely hurt. I mean, Georgia beats them again. And Florida has not beaten Georgia since 2020. They haven't beaten them in a full stadium since 2016, which is a long, long time.
See, that almost goes into my thinking about tomorrow night is that, all right, Napier gets fired. You circle the wagons for Billy Gonzalez. Obviously, they put a ton into that game. You saw the raw, genuine emotion of some of the guys after the loss because it was so close. See, I think if you're playing Ole Miss, all the Lane Kiffin talk, it's a big game. You can ruin Ole Miss's season, that sort of thing. You're playing a lowly Kentucky team tomorrow night. And while I agree that obviously Florida probably has better players, I just think mentally Kentucky's probably still fighting for Mark Stoops. You saw that last week in their win over Auburn on the road. You saw how much that meant to the team to win that game for Mark Stoops. And I just wonder, talent's one thing, motivation is another. I would be hard pressed to think Kentucky is not a lot more motivated than Florida tomorrow night.
Oh, well, I mean, what makes you think that Florida doesn't want to be motivated either? I mean, Kentucky's had their number for how long? The last couple of years? I don't even know if any of these guys have beaten Kentucky. So, I mean, I don't know. Motivation, previous years, like the 2017 team, they were bad, and I could agree with you on a lot of those things, but I feel like this team is different. I can't explain why.
Yeah, they're different.
Because,
they don't win any football games. They're very different.
But they're a good team on paper. That's the difference.
I know like that's the narrative, and you're right. I mean, you're in the majority. At a certain point, man, I'm not like trying to press you on it, but I've heard that from so many people. At a certain point, you are what your record says you are. They've played 8 games, they've lost 5 of them, and you can say, well, they've played a really tough schedule. Yeah, they have. They also lost a home game to USF. I just the good team on paper thing. I guess. I mean, if that makes you sleep better at night, they got 5 stars and 4 stars on their roster, and one would think that there are good players on the roster. But I'm sorry, man. When you play 8 games and you've lost 5 of them, at a certain point, you're no longer a good football team, whether it's on paper or not. At least that's my opinion.
Well, number one, coaching matters, and Florida had a bad coach. And 2, when you have a guy like Matt Hayes, who very well, National College Football Writer said They went on Monday. He went on with XL Primetime and said if Georgia had forced players, they would be a better team. Like that's pretty telling. So that's kind of where I stand. Like this is a good team, but football out of any sport you play that we talk about on a consistent basis, coaching matters most in football, and these guys haven't been coached well on the offensive side of the ball. Defense has played well. Um, Again, this isn't like the bad teams that we've seen the last 15 years where they have less than 6 wins and it's like the other team you're playing, it's like, yeah, we can't compete with them. There's no shot of us playing. Um, I mean, every game they played in this year, whether it be, like you saw with Georgia last week with Miami, how awful they played. They played bad. They've still had a shot to win most of these games in the fourth quarter, other than
Yeah,
Texas.
if they had anything resembling a quarterback, they would have won some of these games. Lagway has been terrible for the most part. I don't think I'm overstating that. He's been really bad. And again, I've told you this. I used to be very careful about criticizing collegiate players because they were collegiate players, but not when you're getting the millions and millions of dollars that DJ Lagway is getting now in NIL. I mean, you're getting paid to perform on the field, and you're not performing on the field. And this is probably the point of the conversation. We talk about he's not healthy and this, that, and the other, and that's all fine and well. 12 touchdowns, 9 picks last year, completing 60% of his passes. People built him up to be the next great Gator quarterback coming into the year. And you know this. I was very clear in my thoughts, and I had to see it. I wasn't going to build him up to be that. And did he miss, a lot of practice time? Yeah, he did. But man, we're 10 weeks into the year. How much more of a crutch is that going to be that he didn't get to practice in July and August? I mean, we're in November. He hasn't missed a start, and he's just been bad. And last week, everybody's talking about the Sturdivant deal. If that's even an average throw, Sturdivant walks into the end zone. I mean, and you could say, well, it was a 50-yarder. Well, dude, I mean, I don't know. I think about the 5 interceptions against LSU, the 30 yards total offense against Miami, not doing anything for the final 50 minutes against A&M, scoring one offensive touchdown against USF, and missing wide open guys last week. I'm just frustrated at DJ Lagway's play. And there's a part of me that hopes we see Tramell Jones at some point just to see what they got there behind DJ Lagway moving forward. Because I don't
Yeah,
believe that DJ Lagway will be in Gainesville in 2026.
yeah. I don't know if he'll be here next year either. And like I remember that was a conversation. Remember last year at this point, should you fire Napier or not? And I was like, well, if Napier leaves and Lagway might leave, and I'm like, who cares? Like you can
Yeah.
find a different quarterback. This year, I won't, really disagree with you. I still think DJ Lagway for right now gives you the best chance to win at least this Saturday. But I mean, I'm not going to completely agree with you. I mean, you still have games, down the next 4 games where you can win something. I know, like, nobody cares about a bowl game anymore, but you're still playing Tennessee, Florida State. You can still ruin Ole Miss's playoff chance potentially, and you're playing a Kentucky team that's had your number, who they consider you almost like a rival because they've had your number and they never beat you for whatever it was, 31 years. Lagway's just been very consistent. He doesn't have any fundamentals, and you can say that because of him. I think a lot of that is coaching. Like everybody that points to Lagway, footwork is terrible. Okay, footwork is coaching. Footwork is in practice in the off season. You're getting this right, going through your reads, stepping into your throw. That was like the throw he had where he missed J. Michael Sturdivant. Okay, he rolls left. He's a right-hand quarterback. It's about a 50-yard throw, but he wasn't facing pressure. He should have been able to set his feet and let it rip. I mean, we're not talking about Austin Appleby or Del Rio. We know that DJ Lagway can rip the ball 60 yards with just flicking his wrist. So it is frustrating. I don't know how much you 100% blame Lagway. I think a lot of it is coaching. I mean, I don't know how much of it is him, but I agree with you. If they were to go with Tramell Jones tomorrow at any point, I wouldn't be too upset.
And look, maybe it's because Tramell Jones is a Mandarin kid, and I obviously had a lot of conversations with him. Maybe if he was Tramell Jones from Indianapolis, I wouldn't be wanting to see him more. But being a local kid obviously adds to that for me. And I agree that Lagway probably gives you the best chance to win. I don't care at all about a bowl game. I couldn't care less. You know, Florida. You want to beat Florida State. There's not a chance they beat Ole Miss next week. Could you beat Tennessee at home? Maybe. But to me, if you go 6-6 and go to a bowl game that nobody's going to play in anyway, who cares at that point? There are some seasons that just need to end, right? Some seasons you just don't really need the 15 extra practices. I've always loved that line. Well, we could get 15 extra practices. Yeah, because those 15 practices in December are really going to make all the difference 8 months from now when they return to fall camp in August with a different coach and a different staff. The 15 practice thing in this situation, when you're going to have a new coach and probably 50 new players next year between true freshmen and guys you're going to have to get out of the portal, this is going to look like a completely different Florida team. I mean, honestly, and I hate to feel this way, I'm just at the point of I'm tired of watching this, and I almost hope they don't go to a bowl game, so I don't have to sit through that for another 3 hours.
Yeah, I don't. I'm not with you. I'm tired of watching this, but I agree with you. I'd rather this team not go to a bowl game, have the season be over. You worry about getting a coach, the player season's done. That way, the kids that want to transfer, they can leave. They can leave. The kids that want to stay, they can stay, and then move on. I mean, we talked about having the at 15 extra practices. I mean, we talked about all off season on the positive momentum in the month of November, how that's going to carry in August. Doesn't mean anything. It means
No.
absolutely nothing. That was a long, long time ago, and it's what happened in November was in November, and what happens in August and September. So that doesn't mean anything, going into next year.
Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings it to you, the Gator Bytes podcast here on the 1010XL Podcast Network. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any orthopedic injury or concern. You can listen to the good doctor, Kevin Murphy, Thursday mornings in the 7 o'clock hour with Jeff and Dan on the drill for his weekly analysis of injuries in the world of sports. And we encourage you to check out their website, se-ortho.com. You mentioned the injury report. There are some teams that are just snake bit, but it's every year, man. Florida has ruled out 13 guys for this game on Saturday. And you're talking Caleb Banks, LJ McCray, Dallas Wilson, Trey Wilson, Trayon Webb, Jacoby Jackson. I mean, huge parts of this team. Now, you're right. They do get Vernell Brown and Aiden Mizell back, but they just missed the Georgia game. I mean, is it just sheer bad luck? Or is there something a little deeper that needs to be dug into about why, for the last 2 or 3 years, Florida consistently has a dozen or more guys missing games?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy, and I mean, for this game specifically, Kentucky has eight guys out as well. So it's not like Florida's the only team that's being snake bitten, at least by the injury report. Yeah, what it seems like most of it's with the skinny guys, receivers and DBs. We saw Deshaun Johnson. He's out. You got both your backup running backs out, so JD Daniels is going to get a lot of work
I mean, keep in mind,
tomorrow.
Florida beat Mississippi State, and all four guys in their secondary that start did not play.
Yeah,
I mean, that's crazy.
They had to play three true freshmen. It's I don't know how you can explain it, man. It's definitely wild, and it seems like Trey Wilson, a guy that really hasn't popped off like this, like he did against Georgia. It took him 2 years. It's been 2 years since he played like that, and plays fine, and then boom, just pops up on the injury report on a Wednesday. Dallas Wilson, who didn't play the entire month, first month of the season, is playing like one of the best receivers in the country, and then he has another nagging injury, and he's done for. It's just so annoying.
You know what it is, Denmark? It's like, look, I don't follow the Florida State injury report as close as Florida, But I turn the Seminoles on every Saturday, and by and large, you see the same guys out there playing. Same thing with Miami. I don't follow their injury report like I do Florida's, but by and large, you turn on the Hurricanes on Saturdays, and you see the same guys playing. That's not the case for Florida, and it's at the point now where it's like, what is going on?
Yeah, I the only thing I can it's even close to like to any football team would be the 49ers this year. How
Yeah.
those guys have dropped like flies. And I mean, I don't know how you can explain it. Like if like the trainer is doing anything different, or how the whoever it is that is taking care of injuries. It's like this doesn't make sense. How our guys are dropping like flies, and every other team seems to be doing just fine. I'm not saying that Florida's doing anything different. I think it's a lot of cases where it's an individual case where just a freak injury happens, with a knee or an ankle, and there's nothing you can really do. But yeah, it just sucks because I mean, going to the year, I mean, the only thing we talked about was these receivers, and it seems like none of these receivers. We haven't even had three healthy receivers play a game this year. It feels like.
No. Yeah, it's super frustrating. And again, I don't think it's just this year. I think you can go back a couple of years. I mean, Trey Wilson missed all that time last year. Other guys missed time last year. And again, I don't have an explanation for it. Maybe it's just simply bad luck. And eventually that bad luck might go to another team, and Florida will get better in the injury department. But for the here and now, it's pretty ridiculous. Three guys were taken off the injury report. So they do get Aiden Mizell back. They get Vernell Brown back. And let me go back on something that I said, and I probably shouldn't have said that. Um, 3-5, the season needs to end, but I am excited about like Vernell Brown to see what he can do the final four games. Look, I would have loved to have Dallas Wilson out there. I want to see the young guys, the guys that are going to be the building blocks for whoever the new coach is that comes in, assuming they don't leave in the portal. I guess that's my viewing experience tomorrow night. Do I care if Florida wins this game? Honestly, no, I don't. Is there a big difference between 3-6 and 4-5? No. Season's going to be over in 3 weeks anyway. But I do want to see the young guys perform. And that goes back to my Tramell Jones thought. Now, again, Billy Gonzalez and the coaching staff, most of these guys will be somewhere else, or at least not in Gainesville, in a month. So their job right now is to win games, not to think about 2026. And for right now, sure, DJ Lagway probably gives you the best chance to win. But there is a part of me that certainly hopes we see Tramell Jones tomorrow just to see kind of what you got, if only for a series or two.
Yeah, I mean, Tramell Jones, I think, is like the only guy that I would want to see. That's a young guy that hasn't played, because I mean, of all the injuries that we just talked about. I mean, you had three true freshmen playing against Mississippi State in the secondary alone. You've had your fair share of injuries at the running back position outside of Jaden Ball. All the receivers have been hurt. You've had Tony Livingston get hurt. You've had to use other tight ends. The offensive line has been relatively healthy. So I don't really know of what young guys on the roster that I want to see play that I haven't seen play yet, other than the quarterback.
And you got to keep in mind, too, I believe the rule is freshmen can play 4 games
Yeah.
without burning a red shirt. Well, there are only 4 games left. So maybe we will see some guys that we haven't seen yet. And again, I mean, if you're Billy Gonzalez, how do you handle that with the knowledge that you and your staff, most of you, are going to be gone in a month? I mean, you care about winning today. You don't care about 2026. And I totally get that.
Yeah, no, yeah, no, no. You're planning to win a game, and you're doing this like you are like the actual head coach. You're not, having in mind of, well, I have the senior, I might want to play him, or I have the No, like I'm trying to win the game. Like it's period point blank. There's no other, discussion outside of that.
I want to get a quick Gator basketball thought too, and then we'll circle back and predict this game. But as far as around the country tomorrow, pretty good week, right? We'll see how LSU responds after Brian Kelly's dismissal. Their first game, they play Alabama, so that's obviously going to be tough. Um, you got Georgia going to Mississippi State. I think they'll win that game. They got kind of lucky. That's a noon kick, 11 Central. I would have thought that game would have been later, but I think Georgia gets lucky that that game's so early in the morning or early in the day out in Starkville. Anything else kind of strike you tomorrow on the schedule? I know Missouri's got a big one too.
The only game I really care to see is BYU Texas Tech at noon. two top 10 teams. It's one of the I think one of the only two ranked, or sorry, the only ranked versus ranked matchups tomorrow: A&M, Missouri, Oregon, Iowa, Texas Tech, BYU, and I think that's it. So it's not really a great slate of college football. Um,
You
now, I
thought it
mean, I
would
say,
be. I mean, you thought Florida State Clemson 2 months ago would be, game day esque, and that's been relegated to the ACC network.
yeah, and Indiana Penn State was probably going to be a great one too until they fired James Franklin. I mean, it's I say that now, and then I'll wake up, Sunday morning, and we'll have like seven upsets, and then the entire the playoff bracket that we see projected right now is going to be all folded upside down. I'm interested to see BYU Texas Tech because Texas Tech, I'm sure most people know by now, they spent a lot of money on their roster, and Texas Tech's a 10-point favorite. So I want to see how legit they are against a good team. I haven't seen them play at all this year. So I want to see that. I'll watch LSU Alabama because that should be a good one. Can Missouri pull the upset at home against A&M? A&M, I mean, from all intents and purposes, looks like they're the best team in the SEC.
Yeah.
Like every team in the SEC, Georgia, Alabama. I would say Ole Miss too. I'd say Ole Miss is probably more in the category of A&M. Like I'm pretty sure I know what A&M is like, and they're really good. And they haven't had a slip up game yet. The other teams have.
Yeah, yeah. So we'll see what happens. I mean, obviously you got to wait a long time for Florida and Kentucky to kick off 7:30 on the SEC network on opposite Alabama LSU. I mean, that's where Florida has kind of been relegated to. We'll circle back to that game in a moment. Again, Southeast Orthopedic Specialist brings you the Gator Bytes podcast every week here on the 1010XL.com podcast network, also being simulcast on the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. For the highest quality care, you can rely on Southeast Orthopedic Specialist for any orthopedic injury or concern. se-ortho.com is their website, and we certainly appreciate the continued support of our friends at Southeast Orthopedic Specialists. Quickly, Gator basketball, not that we'll do a deep dive, but got the first win last night against my alma mater, the Fighting Ospreys of UNF. Nice victory. I mean, they expected to win that game, obviously, after losing to Arizona. I thought they played hard. I thought they played decently against Arizona. Arizona is just really good. And plus, you were playing basically a road game out in Las Vegas. I do think that will probably do Florida some good moving forward. Next week will be interesting because they have games against Florida State and Miami. You should beat both of those teams, even though you got an entirely new backcourt. If you beat Florida State and Miami, all of a sudden you're 3-1, victories over two ACC teams, and you're like, all right, the defending national champions are going to cook a little bit this year. If for some reason you were to lose to either Florida State or Miami, that might send up an early season red flag to me. What's your thought?
I think it's a little early. If you want to start throwing up a red flag, I mean, I would be a little concerned as well. That Miami game, by the way, is Sunday night in Jacksonville, the arena.
It's like
So
late because they had to make it late because that's like I'm happy they're here. I love the fact that they're here. You scheduled it on the same day as the Jaguar home game. That was kind of interesting.
yeah, I'm probably gonna go to that game. Find a way to ease down there because I didn't get it. I haven't been to a Gator basketball game since I was a student. I think the
Wow.
last game I went to was Florida Baylor. It was like a week or two before COVID hit.
Were you
Uh,
part of the Rowdy Reptiles?
I So where they sit, I had to be behind the hoop because I kind of got there late because everybody gets there, whatever the game was, I got 7. They were getting there at like 9 a.m. I was like, yeah, I ain't doing that. But I remember that game specifically. I was gonna say Florida Baylor. Baylor was number 1 in the country. Florida was unranked, and they just came off a big win against Auburn, and Florida was the favorite,
Oh
unranked,
yeah,
playing
I do
against
remember that
number
game.
1 Baylor. Haven't been to a game since then. I'm probably going to go to the game next Sunday. Yeah, it's and I saw Oliver, the 7 foot whatever 9,
7-9.
ginormous human being, finally got to play, which was pretty cool to see. Yeah, I mean Arizona's good, and Florida's got a tough non-conference, which is good. Florida State, Miami this week, and then you play Duke and a lot of good teams coming up in the next couple weeks. So
I'll tell
not
you
I don't have too
this:
many red flags, but it'll be fun to watch this team.
they should beat Florida State. They should beat Miami. We'll see. With Hand Lockton, looks like a different human being. He looks really good. Looks like he's in the best shape of his life. Keep in mind, last year he was only less than a year removed from that gruesome leg injury, and now he looks really good. Condon had a really nice game last night. And look, it's UNF. No offense to my alma mater, but Florida needed to do what they did last night, and they did. Um, they're not hitting threes though, man. They struggled against the three against Arizona, and they were really bad shooting threes against UNF. Now it didn't matter because UNF didn't have the size to deal with them in the the low post there. But when you play these better teams like UConn, Duke, even Florida State, Miami to an extent, you got to hit your outside shots. And at least 2 games in, Florida has struggled with that. That needs to improve.
Yeah, I mean all the new guards, the team that's it's good down low. All those guys are returning. You got to replace Walter Clayton and Will Richard, who guys. A couple of those guys are playing good in the NBA right now.
Will Richard just dropped a 30 burger for the Golden State Warriors, man. He's playing really well.
Yeah, and so you got Xavier Lee, you have Boogie Flan. You got a lot of new guys. So 2 games in, not too worried. You play 2 opponents you should beat this week, and then you go from there.
All right, back to Florida, Kentucky. Let's finish there. Real quick, Florida State, Clemson. Obviously, the game is a huge disappointment, but what an interesting game. If Florida State wins, does that calm the waters with Mike Norvell in Tallahassee? How much trouble is Dabo Sweeney in with Clemson? A lot of dynamics at play in that game tomorrow night.
Yeah, I don't know if win or loss for either side on that in that game is going to determine really anything. I really don't know if Clemson's going to fire Dabo, even if they lose out. And I don't. I
He's been
think
saying
that
a lot of weird stuff in the media.
he
Dabo
has
has.
been. And Mike Norvell at Florida State, I think most of the boosters' minds made up that he's not the guy and they need to move on. So I don't know how much of a factor, of win or loss between either side is going to, determine if they keep our coach or not. Florida State did get a nice win against Wake Forest, which was surprising to me at 42-7 and wasn't even really a game.
It was a
And
head scratcher. Wake was 5-2 going into that game, and Florida State beat the brakes off of them.
yeah, and what was I going to say? That game's like a 1 point spread, so it's really a pick 'em, which I would have the same thing. I mean, I have no idea which team is going to play, which team will show up. Both teams have played pretty bad. Florida State's had one, decent game, and Clemson just lost to Duke.
Yeah. And they let Duke score 46 on them in Clemson.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a bad product for Clemson right now. Florida State probably should go up there and win. So we'll see. All right, Florida, Kentucky. Man, I don't really. There's been a lot of games this year I've had a feel for. I don't really have a feel for this game. Maybe it's just the ineptitude of Florida that I feel 8 games in, just counting down the games till we can finally get rid of this nonsense and get a new coach in there and start over again. But if Kentucky was any good, because Florida's got to go on the road, I would certainly pick against Florida because I do think that there could potentially be a little bit of the bottom falling out. But Kentucky's just not a good football team. So that's why it's puzzling to me. I'll say Florida wins um, 10-9. How about that? A thriller 10-9 in the Commonwealth. Just a stimulating game. And Florida gets an emotional win. They go to 4-5 on the year.
Yeah, I'll probably be the same with you. I'll probably say just higher scoring than that. I'll be surprised if Kentucky can score 14 points, and I think Florida can score more than 14 points. That's about all I got.
Blowout or not
No,
to break
it'll
down
be
the X's and O's.
No, I think it'll be a close game. I mean, the spread's a 3.5 game. I think it'll be a 3 point game, 3 or 4 point game. I see a 20-14 kind of game. I see a Kentucky turnover leading to a Florida field goal, and then that happening again. Something like that.
See, as we wrap up here, and I'm guilty of this, you're guilty of it. It's not. I shouldn't say guilty. It's a bad word. But how depressing is it from a Gator point of view that here we are in the month of November, college football playoff rankings are out, the 12-team playoff, you got probably 20, 25 teams still with a realistic shot at getting in. Huge games all over the country. And we're playing a game tomorrow night that if you're not a Florida fan or a Kentucky fan, no one cares about. Two 3-5 bad football teams playing out the stretch. I mean, it's sad, quite frankly, what this has turned into really for the last couple of years, but especially this year.
I'll go to last since the playoffs started in 2014. We're in 2025, and Florida State's made the playoff, had an undefeated season. Miami's been close to the playoff last year and this year, at least been in the conversation. And in 2017 when they went undefeated before they lost their last two. Tennessee's been in the playoff. LSU's been in the playoff. Any team that you consider as a rival has been in the playoff. Florida's never even been close. Really, the only time was 2020, and they lost their last two games. So that's where I stand. Like you, all these teams, and we now have 12 teams in the playoff. They're probably going to go to 16 next year, and you've never been close. That's pretty pathetic.
Florida is then. I mean, you in the SEC, you got tiers, right? You got the big boys, Georgia, Alabama, certainly, Texas, I guess, and then you got the second tier, and then you got like the Arkansas and the Mississippi States of the world. Denmark, that's where Florida is right now, man. I mean, if you look at win-loss record over the last, 5, 6, 7 years, I know Gator fans don't want to hear this, and they'll blame it on everything under the sun except the reality that's staring in front of them. Florida might as well be Arkansas. Florida might as well be Mississippi State. That's what they've proven to be on the field, win-loss wise, over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Yeah, and coaching matters. I mean, Billy Napier was a bad coach, and I mean I'm looking at his comments section, and the only thing they're talking about is Lane Kiffin and the Ole Miss game next week, and how big of a game that Ole Miss fans are saying that's the game's going to be next week. Which, by the way, for whatever it's worth, I'm not really putting too much into it. Lane Kiffin is the betting favorite right now to be Florida's next coach. I think he's like minus 150. I mean, now those things change once every 2 or 3 days. But, yeah, I mean, it's the only thing fans care about right now. They just want to see their football team win. And despite this team being so terrible, they've had like 16 sold-out games at home, the last 16, depending how awful they've been. So it's not like, you're not going to have a fan base that doesn't support you, man. I mean, everything is there. All the resources are there. They can get a coach. You can be a playoff team probably in year one, definitely by year two. But we'll see what they do.
I know you got to go to Jaguars today. Give me 60 seconds. Drinkowitz is being linked to both Auburn and Penn State pretty heavily. If you don't get Lane Kiffin, and if you don't get Drinkowitz, I mean, is that a failure of a coaching search right then and there?
Well, those are the two best candidates out there. So I've had the thought all along, dude, you're the University of Florida. In the last however many coaches you've had since Urban Meyer, you've went, the G5 route, and you've got the next hotshot coordinator. It's time for the University of Florida to drop its nuts and say, okay, we got to get the best candidate, like point blank. That mean it's going to work, but you're the University of Florida. Like, be like it.
How's that for a quote on a Friday morning? That is Dylan Denmark. I'm the hacker Ryan Green. On that note, we will leave it. This has been the Gator Bytes podcast, 1010XL.com and the Florida Gator 1010XL Facebook page. We hope you join me and Denmark tonight, Hacker After Dark, on many of these social media platforms for 1010XL beginning at 8 o'clock. Have a great day, everybody.